We all still remember RayGun, don't we? She captured our fancy, just going to Paris from Australia and breakdancing badly. Breakdancing very, very badly. She got outscored 54-0 in her 3 battles. They call them battles in breakdancing. And I don't know how they score breakdancing, but I do know that 0's not good. And I know that she had 3 chances, and her opponent scored 54, and she got nothing. It's like one of these early season college football games where they pay some school to bend over and take it. RayGun. I don't know. RayGun. Let's go to the videotape. RayGun had something to say. She's broken her silence. Let's see what RayGun had to say about her performance at the Paris Games.
Do you genuinely think you are the best female breaker in Australia?
Well, I think my record speaks to that.
The 37-year-old became world famous in just minutes when her very Australian performance went viral, making her something of a punching bag on social media. Some critics even suggested she had damaged the reputation of the sport.
Any merit in those criticisms?
It is really sad to hear those criticisms, and I am very sorry for the backlash that the community has experienced, but I can't control how people react.
While Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and our Olympic team boss Anna Meares came to her defence, the attention has been relentless and brutal.
Australian journalists running after you while you're walking down the street, chasing you, asking you these questions. It must have been unlike anything you've ever experienced before. What was that moment like?
That was really wild. If people are chasing me, what do I do? But that really did put me in a state of panic.
What do you think she did better, break dance or run away from people who were chasing her? Because they both kind of looked the same. Look, she said it was sad. It was sad. And she was the top-ranked B-girl. They call them B-girls in the breakdancing community if you're not down with the lingo. She was the top-ranked B-girl in Australia in breakdancing in 2020, 2022, and 2023, she said, in defense of herself. And it makes you wonder who slipped in there and took it from her in 2021. Where was that lady? Did she make it to Paris? Breaking that run of RayGun dominance that happened between 2020 and 2023. And look, let's be honest. Do I feel sorry for her? No, I don't. And I'm going to tell you why. She has to know she sucks. I don't know anything about breakdancing. Took one look at her, knew she sucked. She supposedly was the top breakdancer among women in Australia 3 times. Apparently had no idea she was terrible. How does that work? Let's go to the international streaming star, my sidekick, Ronnie T-Shirts. Ronnie, I feel like she's at about, as the old Sugar Ray album once was titled, I think she's at about 1459 right now, Ron. Are we almost done with this woman and her internet fame?
Was not planning on talking about RayGun when I woke up this morning. So I'm thinking she's maybe at about, 18 or 19 in my book. So she claims that she's the best breakdancer in Australia, which is exactly like me saying I'm the sexiest man in Nashville. Like, I can say it. Not true. Nobody cares.
Well, I mean, you might be in the others receiving votes, Ron.
No chance. No chance.
You might crack the top 25. You know, I can see you popping in at 23 later this season.
So one of the things that she said that I just kind of thought was funny is she talked about the community. So I think she was referring to the breakdance community. Are you part of any communities, Ricky?
I don't know. Am I?
I don't know. I want to be part of a community. Like I've always wanted to be like, that'd be cool. Like I'm part of the community. Like what do you have to do to become part of a community?
Well, in her case, it feels like the barrier for entry was pretty low, Ron.
I don't know,
can
dude.
I just claim that I'm something? I mean, apparently you can just say you're a breakdancer.
I just feel
slide
like
in there.
I just feel like we're at a time in the world where we can just do any stupid thing, and if the right person catches it and it goes viral, then the next thing you know, you can just keep feeding into it and keep getting famous, and it's just dumb. Like we're all dumb for talking about her because the more we talk about her, the more she stays relevant. Hell, she's more relevant than Cheryl Swoops is right now. So I mean, I guess.
Oh wow. Wow.
Kudos to her.
Coming back, take another shot at her today. Yesterday wasn't enough for you. You're taking more shots than Cheryl Swoops claimed that Caitlin Clark was taking at Iowa. Back when she was playing for 9 years at Iowa and taking 67 shots a game, allegedly, according to Cheryl Swoops. Look, RayGun, if RayGun had just been like an average breakdancer, you're right. Nobody knows anything about that. In modern society, you need to either be really good or you need to be really bad. Because both of those things will get you attention. Being competent, nobody gives a fuck.
Not at all.
William Hung, am I right? Remember how long we had to listen to William Hung's dumbass after he went on American Idol and was awful?
How far in the depths of your brain did you just have to go to pull that one out? That is wildly impressive, dude.
Well, RayGun she's getting in the William Hung zone. Is what I'm saying. People who become famous for the wrong reason, and she's going to end up profiting from this. You know she is. She's somehow going to make money from this. There's going to be a fucking book or something that's going to come out of this.
I mean, I Am Ronnie t-shirts. I could do the same thing with her that I did with you. Just send her an email. Go, hey, I think you should do some merch. Next thing you know,
there you go.
I'm co-hosting a breakdancing podcast in Australia.
They should have just sent the Wiggles. You know, Greg Norman. I don't know anybody, literally anyone in Australia wearing a dumb hat. The crocodile hunter. He's been dead for 20 years. He could have done a better job than her. It's just sad.
How about Ben Simmons? Your favorite? You love Ben Simmons, don't you?
Oh God, Ben Simmons just
talk about stealing money, right?
Yeah, you know how dogs just bark at certain people, and you don't know why. If I was a dog, I would just bark at Ben Simmons. Can't stand the sight of him. The world leader in triple singles. This guy's just always injured, shitty attitude. Oh my God, don't get me started on Ben Simmons. All right, here we have what is known as cardio drumming, I'm being told. These latest fitness craze, it looks like we got some moms here. I don't want to presume they're childbirthing, but this looks a lot like something that suburban moms would be into. Ronnie, what's going on here with cardio drumming? Because I'm not seeing this as a really super strenuous cardio test, Ron.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what I have here. Is I'm like, cardio. I think that's a little false advertising, huh? But I guess it's better than being Peg Bundy sitting on your couch eating bonbons, right? So I guess credit to them for putting on their loose t-shirts and stretch pants and doing something other than watching Sally Jesse Raphael. I don't know.
Nice job getting off your lazy asses and making it down to the club to hit some big bouncy balls with drumsticks. Is that all there is to it? Is that it? Do you go home and you just say, "Woo, I really had a workout today, honey. I had a good one."
Yeah, I've seen some other videos floating around out there in the internet, if you will, and seems like suburban moms like to do a bunch of made up cardio stuff. Like if you make it up, they'll do it. There was one where I feel like they were like on these harnesses and they were just kind of they were swimming in the air, if that makes any sense. It was almost like if they were doing a movie and they had they would have been green ropes so you couldn't see them, and they were just kind of it's just a bunch of made up stuff because these women are just so
I don't even have any
with
idea what you just described. I'm completely
Listen, I can't
even visualize it.
Might be the worst moment in this show. So we had to have one worse moment.
Well, the worst moment was the cardio drumming. It wasn't anything that you did.
Did you like my Peg Bundy? Did you like my Peg Bundy eating bonbons reference?
Yeah, that's a pretty solid pull there.
Yeah.
A little Married with Children that you're coming. The great what was her name?
Peg Bundy.
Sagan? No, in real life.
Oh yeah, and she's in a lot of stuff too. She was in Sons of Anarchy. Yeah.
Very talented actress.
So what else is going on?
I'm supposed to ask you a question though, right?
Yeah, no,
I'm the one who's supposed to ask that. Let's try. Are you ready?
Okay, hold on.
So, okay, you ready? Let's do this.
Okay, go.
So other than cardio drumming, you've got me wondering now, what the fuck's going on, Ron?
Interesting that you ask, Ricky. I have a few things. So it feels like Oklahoma State is trying to be at the forefront of innovation, of gathering money for NIL, getting out in the community, just doing things different than everybody else. They're just not into the status quo. So you know how coaches have coaching shows they do once a week. It's part of their contract.
Classic.
Well,
I used to watch those when I was a kid. I loved watching the Joe B. Hall show.
There you go. Well, Gundy is doing his from, you ready for this? Legacy Village Senior Living Complex. So he's doing it look at that. He's doing it at an old folks
That's
home.
awesome.
It's awesome. Like the fact that these people have this to look forward to every week, it's just fantastic. Now they're going to be so invested in the team. They're going to look forward to it. They're going to watch the games together. Like, I think it's fantastic. And then I did read something. I believe it was an OutKick article where they're actually hoping that maybe what's the right term? Bequeath, when somebody gives you money. Hopefully that this is going to help.
I believe that works.
Get some money.
Context.
Get some money from these people. So maybe they'll write the Oklahoma State football into their will. I don't know. It's innovative.
Fuck their adult children. That's what do you think? There's a lot of nervous 50-year-olds out there. It's like, I think Daddy's going to give Mike Gundy the legacy. I also feel like there's an I'm a man, I'm 90 joke in here somewhere, and I wanted to be the person who made it. So
that was pretty good. So
it was,
so speaking of NIL money, we have a little situation in Tallahassee. I'm guessing it's Tallahassee, maybe not. I guess there's Florida State alum all over the place. As you know, did we talk about this yesterday? Florida State got beat by Georgia Tech in their first game over in Ireland. Well, they got beat down by Boston College Monday night. So they're 0-2. They are effectively out of the college football playoff scenario now.
2 losses by September the 2nd, Ron.
Yeah, it's actually
that is their season just prematurely went just gone over.
Yeah,
September 2nd, they're already looking forward to 2025.
Have you ever been a guy that hops on message boards for your favorite teams?
No.
You ever get on? So you've never got on the Hilltopper page and bitched about what's going on in Bowling Green, Kentucky?
How excited can you get about the Hilltoppers?
So anyway,
it's like, God damn it, I'm mad. We're not going to make it to the Totino's Party Pizza Bowl this year with this kind of play.
So anyway, I think we might have a picture of this. Somebody hops on a message board. He wants to know, are there any lawyers, because they want a lawsuit to recoup the money that they've donated. And then if you look below, somebody's calling this gross negligence and embezzlement. And so it brings up an interesting kind of question is unintended consequences of this new college football, college basketball. Are we going to start seeing people, whether they're warranted or not, and whether they win them or not, are people going to start suing and saying that their money was misused?
Well, I mean, that's not going to go anywhere. I mean, what legal grounds do you have to sue because your team's not good?
Because I wanted my team to be good, and now they don't?
Yeah.
I'm mad.
Well, it's like my grandma used to say, somebody's got to lose. Except for your English Premier League, where ties are still a thing. And that's one thing that I'll give soccer. You know what, Ron? You know what I think? Here's an unpopular sports opinion, Ron.
Go.
I'm in favor of ties. I wouldn't even do overtime in the regular season in the NFL or college football, because you know what? A tie is something to think about. It's something to think about. Go home and reflect on how you feel about it. You'll learn something, maybe, about yourself and about life. There's nothing wrong with a tie, Ron. I'm just telling you right now. I'm in favor of ties. I root for ties in the NFL. Every time there's a tie, I get a little bit. An angel gets its wings every time an NFL game ends in a tie, Ronnie.
Speaking of soccer, I got a text during the break from Ryan, and he said he was commenting on your hoodie. And he just said, Ricky's getting cooler and cooler every day. He loves your Pele hoodie, and I have to agree, it's pretty sweet. Where the hell did you get that?
Well, this is Roots of Fight.
Okay,
it's one of the unofficial outfitters of Ricky Cobb. I love their shit.
Yeah,
absolutely
awesome.
Love their shit. So unpaid endorsement for Roots of Fight.
I had. You always do tweets about lunch boxes.
Hell yeah!
And actually,
the opening of the show was talking about Hong Kong food.
The opening of today's show, right? I had when I was in elementary school, I had a Pele lunchbox. Like, I can picture it vividly right now. It was bright green on the outside and had a picture of Pele on it. It was awesome, and I wasn't even a soccer fan. I don't even know why.
I've tweeted it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've seen it because I've tweeted that before. That was a cool fucking lunchbox.
Yeah. So anyways, you got
Ryan's right now.
You got Ryan's seal approval on attire, which is a big thing. So.
Yeah, no, I'm leveling up if Ryan approves of it, because he has more style in,
he's a fashionista.
His pinky finger than I have in my whole body. Yeah.
Yeah. So last but certainly not least, we're going to stick with football. There was a fake punt in Modesto, California from Thomas Downey High School. And some people were calling it the fake of the year, the fake punt of the year, which I think is ridiculous. Like, it's the fake punt of all time. Watch this, Ricky. Did you see what he did?
Dude, I'm gonna have to see that again. Oh my God, he threw it like a punt.
Underhand,
Is
yes.
that what happened?
Yes. And his dude was down there to catch it. So it was a pass. Like, this was amazing. So
Holy shit.
I don't know why anybody would call this the fake punt of the year. It's the fake punt of all time, Ricky.
Well, it's the thing that's amazing about it is this has been right there in front of us all along, and nobody ever thought of it.
Right. And what's so
you know what I mean? Like, it's so obvious now that you see it.
Yeah.
And in my entire life, I never even considered the possibility. Now, that is genius.
Right. And what's so great about it was it's not a pass, a traditional pass, because the release point is coming from the same place where the foot would have hit the ball. And that's where the genius is in this play.
That is fucking wild.
Yeah. I mean,
so do you think are we going to see more of these, or is this just a one and done? Like, now that everybody's seen it, we're like, oh fuck, we wish we had done that. Now it's no good anymore. You'll never be able to do it.
Probably. Can you, off the top of your head, think of any of your favorite, most memorable kind of okey doke fake plays in any sport that come to your mind?
I mean, I've always been a big fan of the Statue of Liberty play. You know, Fumblerooskies are fun, but I mean, those are pretty standard compared to this.
Don't you do a tweet of, well, maybe it was from the College World Series with an LSU player, first baseman held the ball in his glove.
Oh, Wichita State. Yeah, they faked a pickoff throw.
Yeah.
Faked a pickoff throw, and the first baseman like scurried after it like it had gotten past him. The guy on first base takes off to go to second, and the player had it in his glove.
Right.
And he just threw down to second, and the guy was a sitting duck.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those. I mean, was Marino the first one that did it, where he faked the spike and then threw it into the corner of the end zone?
That's a good pull too, Ron. I was watching that game when it happened. Yeah, he faked the spike to stop the clock and threw a touchdown against the Jets.
Yeah,
I believe it was.
Yeah, and then a couple years ago, I believe it was still college, Kenny Pickett faked a slide, and then I believe he scored a touchdown. And I think they made a rule that you can't do that anymore, but it wasn't a rule at the moment that he did it. So you know how when a quarterback slides and he gives himself up, you can't hit him anymore. And so he faked a slide. It was pretty cool. I love to see fake plays. They're amazing. But yeah, that's what's up today, Ricky.
Is fun.
That's what's up today.
Well, that's what the fuck is going on. Says Ronnie T-shirts. I got a correction from the first part of the show. You know, I seem like I'm a guy who probably wouldn't give that much of a fuck about details, but I am. I'm a bit of a grammar snob. I like to get my facts straight as much as I can. It's hard to be factually oriented in comedy because so much of comedy is kind of taking the truth and stretching it a little bit or bending it a little bit. That's why the well actually crowd is not very much fun at parties. But I do like to be factually accurate with things that are not comedy related, at least. And I will tell you, that is Candlestick Park in San Francisco, Ron. That is the stick. Probably Joe Montana out there throwing passes to Jerry Rice on that shit.
Where?
That is Candlestick.
Gotcha.
Let's take a look at some comments on this poll of the day. Let's harken back. We got a close one today. I'm excited. On the second level of Donkey Kong, you could stand next to Kong's right foot, jump and push the joystick left at the same time, and rack up 100 free points every time you did it. Well, as someone who has Donkey Kong in my fucking living room, I just might try that out just in time and see if I can't rack up some Donkey Kong points later. Second level of Donkey Kong, easier than the first level, Ron. What do you think? I think they got it backwards. I think the second level is easier than the first level, or at least less stressful.
Again, you're going to say I'm a communist. I barely played Donkey Kong. Don't know. No opinion. Sorry.
Rich C says that his wife has dragged him to Motley Crue concerts, and as an expert in the matter, he can say with utmost confidence that scrambled eggs are better than Motley Crue.
That's pretty good.
That's just a fucking fact. 40 years ago, Crue, now scrambled eggs, but they got to be made correctly. Scrambled eggs are hard to fuck up. Even I can make a good skillet of scrambled eggs.
You like cheese? You like cheddar cheese on your scrambled eggs?
Occasionally. Depends on my mood.
Maybe some
Photo
cut up
Thought
sausage.
says get a small non-stick pan. Now you're talking. Get a small non-stick pan really hot, add olive oil, crack eggs directly in the pan, scramble in the pan, pour onto a plate when done. Enjoy. That is better than Cal Ripken Jr., arguably. Donkey Kong introduced the world of Mario, and nothing would stop that plumber from trying to save that ungrateful princess. I've said it many times, Ron, but the sex must have been incredible. For him to go through all that. The fire and the sharp objects and the travails that he put himself through, she had to be incredible in the bedroom, Ron.
Are you talking about Motley Crue or Donkey Kong?
I'm talking about Super Mario.
Oh.
Super Mario was introduced to the world by Donkey Kong, and then he says that, you know, she's trying to save the princess. That's where the whole Super Mario saga began, is he's trying to save her from this beast. And I'm just saying, I'm not going to let a gorilla drop barrels on my head unless the sex is great. That's all I'm saying, Ron. It seems like it's obvious. Donkey Kong first made use of a jump button. Is that true?
Again, you're asking the wrong person.
Maybe just learn something. Is that, I don't know. It's on the internet. It must be true. Isn't that how it works, Ronnie?
It is.
If I'm picking a Ripken, it's this one. And that's the famous 1989 Fleer Billy Ripken fuckface variation. That one's worth a little bit of money, Ronnie. I have that in my collection. I have a Billy Ripken fuckface.
Did they stop production when they figured it out?
They did. They had, I think, there was one version where they blacked it out. They just put like a redacted black square on the knob.
They blurred it.
And I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if there was one where they photoshopped it out entirely, but I know there's a black square variation. And Billy Ripken, there was a mystery for a long time. You know, who played this joke on him or whatever. But Billy Ripken, to his credit, put that on the knob of his bat himself. So he would know which bat was his. So good self-deprecating sense of humor from Billy Ripken. I feel like Ripken and Crue are complete opposites. One was consistent day in and day out. The other had high peaks and low lows. You think Cal Ripken Jr. ever went to a party where things got out of hand like they did in the first scene of that movie?
I mean,
are you aware there's an urban legend that the Baltimore Orioles canceled a game due to some sort of I think it was like an electricity problem allegedly, and the rumor, it's an urban myth. I am in no way asserting that this is truth. I am just sharing urban mythology. This is very likely false, but the myth is that Cal Ripken Jr.'s wife was having an affair with Kevin Costner, and he found out about it, and in order to preserve the streak, they had an electricity out one night.
I've heard the same thing.
Probably not true at all, Ron, but fun to think about.
Hopefully true.
No less.
Probably not. Oh,
look at this. I know what oh my God, that is Mrs. T-shirts with fucking Vince Neil. You surprised me with that one, Ron. When did this occur?
So Vince lives in a little place about 10 minutes from Franklin called Leaper's Fork. And every summer we have this big concert in our neighborhood called Westfest. And he just happened to be there. And I told Lori, I said, you should go get a picture with him. And she said, no, I'm not going to bug him. I'm like, Lori, just. So I walked up to him and I said, hey, excuse me. I said, my wife was a big fan of yours when she was a teenager. Would you mind taking a picture? And he said, of course not. And so we took this picture, and Lori's friends were just geeking out when they saw that, because this was a major guy in their lives when she was 16 years old. So I always ask people this question. I'll ask you, who would you, if you went to a neighborhood concert, what would be your equivalent to a Vince Neil? So somebody that when you were 16 was a big deal to you, and that person was sitting there watching this concert and you got to take a picture with them, who would that person be?
A musician?
It could be, a musician.
Does it have to be?
Yeah, let's stay with the musician.
I don't know, Ron. I mean, I like good music, so it would have been like completely unattainable.
Yeah.
It would have been like fucking Paul McCartney probably. But Paul McCartney, you got a much better chance of running into Vince Neil somewhere than Paul McCartney. Yeah.
My daughter said hers would have been
know.
Justin Bieber. So she put herself out as a 50-year-old, thinking, okay, when I'm 50 and I'm at a neighborhood concert and somebody's sitting there, she said it would be Justin Bieber. That's who would be her Vince Neil.
Yeah, Debbie Gibson, maybe I would have wanted to have bumped into Debbie Gibson when I was 16 years old.
Yeah, I think mine would be like maybe LL Cool J. Like that would be like crazy for me to be someplace.
Not for Debbie's music, but I was crushing on her pretty hard back in the Only in My Dreams era.
She still looks pretty good.
Yeah, she's holding up. She's holding up better than Vince Neil. Although Vince actually, I think Vince is like, the bar is so low for Vince Neil at this point that I'm actually kind of like, Vince looks pretty good there.
I mean, after watching that movie, the fact that he's still with us is a testament.
Yeah, it's a miracle. One of my favorite broadcasters, a guy that I have enjoyed watching for a very long time. My pleasure to welcome to the show this morning, Bob Papa. Bob, how are you?
Great to be on the show. And I'm a big fan of Super 70 Sports. I mean, it is like such right in my wheelhouse. It's just, some of the stuff is just unbelievable.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Let's go there then. You get it. You're a fan of it. You're a guy who gets what I do. Today's poll of the day, if we can bring it up, let's get the official Bob Papa vote in here and make this thing good and proper. Today's silly poll is Donkey Kong, Scrambled Eggs, Cal Ripken Jr., and Motley Crue. You can evaluate that under any criteria that you wish, Bob. What gets your vote?
Scrambled eggs, because I love scrambled eggs. I wasn't a big Donkey Kong guy. Love Motley Crue and love Cal Ripken Jr. Bluest eyes I've ever seen in my life. When I was first starting out as a student at Fordham covering Yankee games and sitting in the Orioles dugout with Cal and his dad before games and just watching them talk, and like they had the brightest blue eyes I've ever seen in my life. And maybe that leads to longevity as far as never missing a game. I don't know, but Cal would get one of my votes, but I think I'd lean towards scrambled eggs.
Yeah, at the end of the day, with all respect to Junior, scrambled eggs have had a bigger impact on my life. So I'm right there with you. Bob, let's talk a little bit of NFL. I want to get into your career because, as I was saying, probably my three favorite sports at this point in my life and throughout my life, baseball is kind of moved back a little bit as I've gotten older, but I am an NFL, golf, and boxing guy, and who better to touch on those three subjects with than yourself? But let me ask you, with this NFL season upon us, what are your thoughts on the new kickoff? There's going to be a lot of people who haven't been really probably plugged in during the off season and during the preseason, and they're going to tune in for the NFL this week, and they're going to see something that looks very, very different. Having seen the preseason to this point, what are your thoughts on it? Is this something that is going to make it for the long haul, or do you think that it's going to be an experiment that won't last?
I'm actually interested in it because the kickoff had become very boring, right? I mean, you're just kicks being boomed out of the back of the end zone. To quote Bachman Turner Overdrive, I think you ain't seen nothing yet. I think these teams have held back any kind of creative things that they may do during the regular season. But I also am in a little bit of fear in the sense that I think if you see some wild returns in these games, in Kansas City and then in Brazil, you may just have special teams coach and say, the heck with it. Just kick it out of the back of the end zone. The ball will start on the 30-yard line. We'll deal with it. We got a really good defense, not that worried about it. And maybe that's how they'll handle it. And then will the league step in and change things? But yeah, it's almost like freeze tag, right? Nobody can move until the ball is caught. So the ball gets kicked. You're so used to seeing bodies colliding and how everybody's like freeze. And then they're waiting and then the ball's touched and then they go. I think it's worth a shot. I got to be honest with you. I know there's been people that have been critical of it, but I'm looking forward to see if it does create some excitement in the game.
Yeah, I'm rooting for it, Bob. It's weird to wrap your mind around it at first, but I think it was like 22% of kickoffs were returned last year, and I think they're hopeful that maybe they'll get it up to around 3/4 this year, which would generate a lot more action. Bob, I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I'm excited about Caleb Williams. I'm trying to manage my expectations. But as you know, in this city, it's not exactly quarterback town. Jay Cutler is really the only guy we've had of consequence since Jim McMahon. And it's not a storied history of quarterbacks in this town. I just saw a statistic, Bob, I'm going to share with you. Number one overall picks, which frequently are quarterbacks. Number one overall quarterback picks who started game one of their rookie year. Since 2005, they are 0-14-1 in their debut game, and they're 0-15 against the spread. And I just was presented with this information, and it was like somebody was trying to pour a bucket of cold water over my head here. Can I even at least have the excitement of week one? What do you think of Caleb Williams? Have we landed a prize here, or should I cool my jets?
No, you shouldn't cool your jets. You should be excited. That's the whole point of this thing, is to be excited about it and the optimism and the hope. And, in the lead up to the draft, everybody that I talked to around the league said it's a slam dunk. He's the number one overall pick. He's the best prospect in this draft. I think everything that we've seen in the preseason has to get you excited. Now, look, there are going to be rough spots. It's not going to be smooth sailing throughout the course of the season. And how he deals with adversity will be interesting to see as a young player. But I'm all in on Caleb Williams being a good player in the National Football League and the Bears finally having that quarterback that they can kind of salivate around and can be a leader. He's dynamic, does things with his legs, makes off-schedule throws. And the most important thing is this. When Ryan Poles traded for Montez Sweat last year, that was the beginning of the transformation of the Bears. Why Washington traded him, I'll never know. But it solidified their defense, and all they've done is add quality pieces to this roster and around this quarterback. And they did it the right way as far as how you're going to work a rookie quarterback into this mix. I mean, the talent at wide receiver is off the charts. this is a good football team. And I don't know if they're going to contend for the division title or not. And I wouldn't be shocked if that stat that you just gave me comes to an end this week, quite honestly.
I like that answer a lot. It's nice to have something to look forward to, as you said, right? And we haven't had a lot to look forward to in a while in this town. Maybe if we could beat the Packers at least once, that would make a lot of people in this town happy. Bob, I want to talk about your career. I mean, at this point, you've had such a long and distinguished career. You've seen so many historic events that you've been in the booth for in various sports. I want to ask you about Super Bowl 42 for starters. One of the greatest upsets in the history of the game. The Patriots go in 18-0. I think everyone was expecting that game, even though they had, I think had a close game during the regular season, if I recall correctly. Nobody expected the Giants to win that game, at least the general public. And, of course, the helmet catch, Eli gets Tom for the first time. What are your memories of that game and the Giants being the ultimate spoilers that night?
Well, you can feel it coming. Remember, they played that game in Giants Stadium at the end of the regular season. The Giants had nothing to play for, and they played the Patriots, really tight. And I remember talking to a Patriots player that I was friends with after the game. As I was leaving the booth to go to the Giants locker room, I had to pass the Patriots locker room, and I congratulated him and said, "Hey, congratulations, undefeated, great game." And he's like, "Yeah, it wasn't easy." He goes, hope we don't see them again. Hope we don't see them again. Now, the Giants go down to Tampa. They beat the Bucs. They were division winners. Then they go to Dallas, and they take care of the Cowboys. They were the number 1 seed. And then they went to Green Bay in that frozen game at Lambeau Field with -23 wind chill, and they knock off the Packers. And the team was building a lot of momentum at this point. And, when you're around teams and you watch that self-belief continue to grow, look, I didn't think they were going to win the game either. And I on media day, I was on at halftime of the between the Patriots finishing their media day and the Giants coming out. I was on NFL Network because I was working for them at the time. And Solomon Wilcots in the final second says, "Well, who do you think is going to win the game?" And, I had given all the reasons why I thought the Giants had a legitimate chance to win the game. He's like, "Look, I'm putting you on the spot. Who do you think is going to win?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Brady and Belichick have won 3 Super Bowls over a 4-year span. They're undefeated. I mean, you'd be kind of crazy to pick against the Patriots, wouldn't you?" Show ends. The Giants are coming out of the locker room now, getting ready for their media day session. And Amani Toomer's glaring at me like, "Our own guy picked against us?" And I'm like, "I didn't pick against you. He asked me for an honest opinion on national TV. I didn't say that you guys were going to get blown out. I didn't say that you guys couldn't win. I had just given a bunch of different scenarios that they could win. And sure enough, that played out on Sunday. They kept the game under control early. They never allowed New England to get into a rhythm. Remember, that New England team had set an NFL record for the most points scored. The Brady to Moss record for most touchdown catches for an individual player. Like, everything was clicking. But the Giants slowed the game down, and they used clock, and they never let the Patriots get into a flow. And the one advantage the Giants had was their defensive front was dominant at that time, and the Patriots couldn't handle them. And then there were like little subtle plays in the game, like the Patriots are driving near the end of the half. Giants get a sack to stop them. There's a fumble, and it looks like the Patriots have recovered the ball, and Ahmad Bradshaw dives in around 2 Patriots, yanks the ball out to save the possession. Even on the Tyree play, Toomer got a bad spot to start that drive. They said that he didn't get the first down. Everybody forgets that Brandon Jacobs barely converted the 4th and 1, or else there is no Tyree. There is no Plexico Burris play. There's Steve Smith on the 3rd and 7, catching the ball a couple of yards short, making a man miss. and getting the first down to set up the Plaxico touchdown. And then there's the Brady heave at the end that Corey Webster has to knock away, or else history might have looked completely different. So it was an epic game, and it was just a pleasure to be there calling it.
And 4 years later, somehow, they got him again. I think that at the time we all looked at it and thought, well, this is some measure of payback, right? You're never going to get back the perfect season, but 4 years later, you're at least going to beat Coughlin and beat Manning and get it back and got him again. I think of all the facts about Belichick and Brady's career, it's the fact that the Giants got him twice that is with all respect to Nick Foles, the outlier is the New York Giants. How did Tom Coughlin just have their number, Bob?
Well, remember they both Coughlin and Belichick coached under Bill Parcells. They were on the same staff when the Giants won Super Bowl 25 as the DC and wide receivers coach. So they came from very similar football tenets of what they believed were recipes for success, pathways to victory. I think in 2011, it was much less of an upset. I don't think that Patriots team was as good as the 07 team, obviously. And remember something. During the regular season, I think it was in November, the Giants went up to Foxborough and ended the Patriots' home winning streak. And once again, it was an Eli Manning drive. He threw an incredible seam pass to Jake Ballard and then throws in the final seconds of the game this incredible touchdown pass in the left corner of the end zone to Jake Ballard to win the game and end the Patriots' home winning streak that had spanned like a couple of years' time. So going into Super Bowl 46, the Giants were very confident. They felt they were the better team, and they felt that they already proven that by winning in Foxborough in the regular season against New England. Listen, if it wasn't for that call near the end of the first half that Vince Wilfork kind of joked about how he baited the officials into a holding call, I think it was against Chris Snee or whatever, the Giants were starting to dominate the game. And then obviously the Patriots made adjustments in the second half. And once again, it came down to a unbelievable throw by Eli Manning to Mario Manningham and a Hail Mary knocked down by Kenny Phillips in the end zone intended for Gronk. Classic Super Bowls.
Absolutely. Well, Bob, as I've said, you're not just a football guy. You are a golf guy. You are a boxing guy. And so I want to at least hit you with one question from each of those sports with the time that we have remaining. And you actually broke some news to me here during the last break before you came on. We've got a LIV PGA made-for-TV showdown, apparently, that is lining up Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler against Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka. Does this portend? I don't know. It's too early for us. We can only speculate. But how long, Bob, can we remain sort of bifurcated here in the world of golf, where we only get the best players all together in the same place at the majors right now?
Yeah, this is interesting because I think from what I've been told and what I understand, this was organized between the players and the people that produced the match and all these celebrity matches and all these matches that you see in the, off season. And so I don't think this was a tour LIV thing. I think these are four players kind of proving once again that golfers are independent contractors, right? They pay their way to get to events. If you don't make the cut, you don't make money. Now, obviously, the superstars are making money on a lot of different levels, but, the rank and file player, you can go miss a whole bunch of cuts and lose a lot of money that you're putting out of your pocket to get there, plus paying your caddy and everything else. But I found this interesting that this was done outside of LIV and outside of the tour, and that the players kind of created it. And, listen, we all want to see these guys competing against each other on a more regular basis. And if this is one step closer to some sort of agreement, and I know Rory was pretty outspoken last week at the Tour Championship about how slow this is all going and that there hasn't been what appears to be closer steps to resolution to kind of fix this. I think people are going to be excited. And I think this is going to get tremendous ratings because unlike having celebrities and some of this other stuff, you're talking about 4 of the best golfers on the planet playing in this match somewhere in Las Vegas, I believe in December. So I kind of stopped watching the matches because I felt like they're kind of getting watered down. This is must-see TV if and when it's going to happen.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hear about it. And Rory has obviously, he shifted quite a bit over the course of time from being so vocally anti-everything LIV to being much more open now. Hopefully there's a path towards at least getting these players in the same events more than just 4 times a year. Bob, boxing, look, I don't even know how I feel about it, Bob, but probably we got the 2 most anticipated fights of the rest of the year are Fury Usyk 2, and for the general public, probably much more than that, it's going to be Mike Tyson against a YouTuber, turned boxer, turned carnival barker showman in Jake Paul. What do you make of this? A 58-year-old Mike Tyson stepping into the ring in November, presumably, if it comes off, against a reasonably skilled young guy in Jake Paul.
I won't be watching. I just can't. I can't. It's funny because boxing has become such a niche sport in the United States. However, the bigger picture, the business of boxing, it's very strong, but it's become a much more global sport. And it's become a lot less important here in the United States for a myriad of reasons, from not having boxing on free TV to not having boxing on basic cable or lesser boxing. And then everything went premium cable. Look, I worked for HBO for a long time after leaving ESPN, to most of it becoming pay-per-views. And I think, if the general public can't watch it, you lose interest in it. I remember people saying to me, in the De La Hoya and Fernando Vargas and, in the late 90s, Roy Jones, people saying to me at the time, it wasn't as great as it was in the 70s or the 80s. I'm like, yeah, it is. There's so many great fighters, but right now it's all on Showtime or HBO or pay-per-view, and the general public doesn't get a chance to really see the greatness of the athletes. But we'll always have a soft spot for me, having done the 92 Olympics. My first big break in boxing was doing the play-by-play with the blow-by-blow with the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, for the Holyfield Douglas heavyweight championship fight. I'm still a fan of the sport, but the side shows that exist are, I can't even get into it.
Yeah, it's changed so much. And you're right. The weekends used to be, you'd see who was fighting on Wide World of Sports. You'd see who the fight doctor and Marv Albert were going to be calling. You had Larry Holmes fighting in prime time, multiple times when I was a kid. And that's how you build a fan base of actual real world-class boxing and not this sort of clown show that is popular now. And I agree with you. I worry about Mike.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.